Okay, this is the way it works. Adequate notice of the September the 14th, 2017 meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of the meeting on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, Hanover Eagle, and by filing same with the Township Clerk. Have a roll call.
On roll call, Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Faramasca.
Here.
Committeeman Bruno.
Here.
Committeeman Capola is on vacation in Arkansas, and Mayor Francioli.
Here.
4 members in attendance, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, would you all please join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag? Those that may stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. I was at Morris County Freeholders meeting last night. They also have a very nice addition to their meetings, and believe it or not, it's an opening prayer. Maybe we ought to give serious consideration to that at some point, you know? Yes. All right, folks, there's no denying the fact that the events of this past week with Harvey and Irene have put so many people and displaced so many people right here close to home. We all have relatives, we all have friends, etc. If we've been looking at the social networks, we've been corresponding as best we can with them, and all of the tragedy that has gone on in Texas, throughout Florida, the Keys, etc., certainly the Caribbean. It's a horrible, awful event, and please join me in a moment of silence and prayer for those people. I thank you very much for that. Yeah, on that as well.
Yeah.
So this past weekend, we also, I don't know that you could use the word celebrate. We honored, we recognized, and we remembered the victims of September the 11th on this past Monday. Terrorist attacks on the United States that took place in not only here at the trade centers, but in Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. And we lost thousands of innocent civilians at that time. We will constantly remember them. We will constantly keep them in mind and never forget. So if I could also have a moment of thought for those past people. Thank you. I thank you for that very much. Okay, Mr. Administrator, at this time we have a presentation to make. Mr. Schleifer, how are you? Mr. Schleifer has been a dear member of this municipality's community for some 15 years, serving us on Hanover Sewage Authority. Not only as a member, but as chair. We have, for Joseph tonight, some things that we'd like to offer to commemorate his service with us since he's leaving that position. And I would like, Joe, you have a letter from Committeeman Capola, who could not join us, Joe, but Committeeman Capola sent a letter, and I'd like the administrator to read it to you.
Unfortunately, due to my visiting with my twin brother this week in Little Rock, Arkansas, I am unable to be here tonight to honor one of our loyal and dedicated residents of Hanover Township, Mr. Joseph Schleifer. I would therefore like to take this opportunity to offer my heartfelt thanks to you, Joe, for the many years of loyal and dedicated service to the Hanover Sewage Authority. No doubt, it's your support and guidance as the chairman for many years, which is why the Hanover Township Sewage Authority has been recognized with a Platinum Award for excellence, as it does not get any better. Hanover is only one of a handful of sewage authorities who own those bragging rights. As I have noted in the past, it is individuals like you who have provided the strong base for others like myself to follow in the years to come. To you and your entire family, my best wishes for a most happy, healthy, and blessed retirement. On a separate note, there is a topic that I have wanted to address to Joe's son, Ken, for a long time. It is what I call
Pay attention to this, Ken.
It is what I call a delayed thank you. Please allow me to explain. Early on during my years on the Township Committee, we had a few tumultuous years due to a mini recession from 2009 through 2011. At that time, Ken was liaison to public safety, and he, John Sheridan, and John Faramasca introduced the concept of the automated garbage truck. At that time, we were in the process of laying off 10 employees and cutting the hours on 8 other employees. Even though it was from a completely different budget, perception as it appeared was that we were laying off people and cutting hours for others, and yet we planned to spend over $350,000 for a garbage truck and put aside another $100,000 for a second one at a future date. However, when all was said and done, I have to admit I was wrong, because the fleet of automated garbage trucks are the best addition to our public works and the residents of Hanover Township. Why? Because 1, we reduced our manpower from 3 men to 1 man, and 2, no one had to be laid off even as of today, and 3, and most importantly, the Township realized a significant savings on comp cases due to employees not getting hurt on the back of the old garbage truck. Therefore, Kenny, were not for your persistence, along with John Sheridan and John Faramasca, the Township would not enjoy the benefits, both monetarily and physical attributed to the purchase of these trucks. In my hat in hand, I wish to thank you. And finally, a thank you to the business administrator who brought the idea of automated garbage trucks to the attention of the Township Committee. Respectfully submitted, George Capola.
September the 14th at 8:41. Write that down. You will never hear that again. But you know what, though? Kenny, I tell you, John, everyone involved at that time, one of the finer things that ever happened in our community that streamlined us. As a matter of fact, it set the tempo for the county to look at it and other towns to look at it, and the one-armed garbage truck has been a tremendous success, working out beautifully. So, attaboy, very nicely done. But Kenny, we're not here for you. That was very nice, but we're here for your dad. That's really it. We have a beautiful presentation to make, and I think John would like to add some comments, right?
Yes.
John, who's our liaison to your HSA.
This is from Hanover Township. It's called the Distinguished Service Award. And it's presented this evening to Joseph A. Schleifer in grateful recognition of 15 years of outstanding and exemplary service as a member and a chairman of the Hanover Sewerage Authority. Joseph A. Schleifer served from January 1st, 2002 through February 1st, 2006 as a member and chairman from 2006 through August 13th of 2017. Be this recognized by the Township Committee September 14th, 2017. I will present this plaque to Mr. Schleifer in a moment, but I would also like to read something about Mr. Schleifer. For those of you who might not know Mr. Schleifer, but when I look in a dictionary, and I open up that dictionary and I look for the word leader, guess what I see? I opened it up and there's a picture of Joseph Schleifer. There. The reason is Joseph A. Schleifer truly embodies the qualities of a leader. He led HSA for nearly 11 years as a chair, and that has become the #1 platinum certified sewage authority in America. #1 in America. Not New Jersey, America.
That was amazing.
And for those of you who may not know Joseph A. Schleifer well, he's also a leader in the business community in the state of New Jersey, well known in Hanover Township. He was the founder of Schleifer Associates. Joseph is also serving our community as a member of his parish, OLM, where he served in numerous capacities for many years on a very quiet basis, getting things done for that parish. More importantly, though, than his service to the Sewerage Authority, to the business world, to his church, he was a leader and is a leader of his family. He has supported his children, he has supported his spouse, he has supported his grandkids. And he's taught them all a very valuable lesson. And he's taught them the valuable lesson of service. If you get to know the Schleifer family, they have been on the outreach movement in terms of social, trying to help people, make a difference in people's lives. They've helped promote education. They've helped promote scouting. Today is our opportunity in Hanover Township to recognize, to thank Joseph Schleifer for his lasting contributions to our community, and we truly mean that in terms of an applause for you this evening. We'll know where to go. Yeah, we'll know where to go. Joe, come on.
Well, these are all mine. I think it's symbolic of that. He was a past committeeman, Mr. Schleifer. My son Joe. There you go, Joe. My daughter Patty. All right, Patty.
You're getting
You got room for any more? She's the youngest. Room for any more?
I'm the youngest.
You got it, Jim? Got it. You sure?
Okay,
I would like to thank the mayor, the committee, especially Mike Wade for putting up with me all these years.
Well, it's mutual.
For giving me the opportunity to serve. And I appreciate it. I've enjoyed the 15 years, and sorry I can't stay any longer. But thank you, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Joe, before you guys take off, unless you want to stay for the entire meeting, I would just like to thank you and say that you guys do have an incredible reputation in town. And the one thing that's always associated with you and your family is integrity. And to me and my family, that means more than anything. So thank you, Joe. I appreciate you. Proud to call you my friend. Your family is just like you, Joe. In town, people always say to me, if Kenny Schleifer wanted to run for committee, you wouldn't have had his seat. I said, then I would have felt good because Kenny did a great job. But the reputation Kenny has in town is the same reputation you have and your whole family has. Joe, you have integrity. I'm proud of you, and I'm proud to be your friend. And thank you for keeping in touch with me and stopping by my house sometimes. We're going to miss you, Joe. Okay, that's
Very
it.
good. Thanks, Joe.
Now, we are going to leave. My cadet has to get back.
Good for him. He looks terrific. He looks terrific. That's great.
Thank you very much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Is he naval? Naval cadet?
West Point.
Yeah. West Point.
Army guy.
Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Okay. We'll give everybody a chance to say goodbye, all right? All right. All right, gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to motion to open the floor to the public for any item not appearing on the agenda. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. If you'd like to address the Township Committee at this time, you can do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Justin Avanzato, 20 Orchard Place, Cedar Knolls. I just wanted to follow up on the speed bumps
Yeah.
on Orchard Place. And I'm not sure if you guys spoke about it today, but
Oh, as far as the status of it?
on the status of it, if it's been approved, I got an email from Mr. Coppola that there was going to be the engineer that was going to discuss it
We,
tonight.
you didn't join us in committee, I would assume, on the conference session. All right. bring you up to date. We are going to, we decided that we're going to go forward with the chief's recommendation for those installations. We're going to go forward.
Thank you.
We are going to wait till we finish just in one of the major projects in town. From a frugal standpoint, we'd like to see how that project finishes out, and the additional dollars that we have from that project will fund the speed bumps that you need in that area. But the speed bumps were looked at and justified by both our engineering department, speed humps, I should say. They're not going to be speed bumps. And our chief as well gave us, with our traffic officer, Lieutenant Locke, gave us a recommendation to go forward. So we will be going forward. The next question that you have is when. Given the fact that Jefferson Road may be finished by this fall, we'll see if we have any excesses there. If we can possibly do it this year with this year's budget, we'd like to.
Okay.
So it's conceivable that by November or so, December. But
I won't.
if don't hold me to that.
I know. Listen,
Because if we have to, then we would have to budget in 2018, and we'll schedule it for then.
Okay.
But that's where you are.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
In addition to that, in addition to the speed
Oh, yeah, the sign.
humps, Chief is working with the engineering department to evaluate what can be done in terms of signage, to place some further controls in the neighborhood to redirect traffic, so it's not such an invitation for cut-through.
Cool. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you. Anyone else like to be heard at this time? Hearing none. Seeing none. Motion to close?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Administrator.
Okay, as we continue with the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, we have the approval of the Township Committee minutes, the regular minutes of August 10th, 2017. May we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Bruno, seconded by Mr. Faramasco. All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. Departmental reports. The following reports have been filed in my office from the following departments. The Office of Construction official for all activities conducted during the month of July. Chief of Police has filed his report on all activities conducted by the Police Department during the month of August. We have reports from our Property Maintenance Officer for all property maintenance and zoning activities conducted during the month of August as well. Superintendent of Public Works, Buildings and Grounds, and Park Maintenance has submitted his reports for all activities and projects conducted by the Public Works Department during August. The Township's treasurer has submitted his summary of budget revenues as of September 14th for through the month of August. Township engineer has also submitted his report on the status of all capital projects, work that is being done through the month of August. As we continue, ladies and gentlemen, we now have public hearing and adoption, consideration of adoption of two ordinances. The first is docketed as ordinance number 20-2017. If adopted, this ordinance would establish a new Chapter 71 entitled Requiring Commercial Establishments to Maintain Security in Certain Conditions under Part 2, the general legislation of the Code of the Township. We have the proof of publication that the ordinance and the notice of introduction appeared in full in the August 30th issue of the Daily Record. So at this time, may we have a motion to conduct the public
So
hearing?
moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Faramasca, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to address the Township Committee concerning ordinance number 20-2017? Your name and address for the record, sir.
Sure, yes. Good evening, Mayor, members of the Township Committee. Craig Genetti, the law firm Day Pitney, on behalf of Hanover Associates, which is the owner of property at 1255 Route 10. As I'm sure as the committee members are aware, that is the property that currently houses the American Best Value Inn motel. My clients and their predecessor entity have owned that property back since the 60s when it was a Howard Johnson, and have continued to own it, and it's been a motel in some form or the other. We submitted a letter dated August 17th, 2017 concerning the ordinance, mainly to raise two issues. And I think first, as we highlight in the letter, we fully understand this type of ordinance for the town to control any establishment in town that is having recurring issues where it's causing your police, fire, emergency services to continue to go out to a site that is just not being properly maintained. Obviously, our concern is with respect to Section C of the ordinance, which all prior parts of the ordinance talk about whenever there's certain incidents involving a commercial establishment, requiring a meeting with that commercial establishment preparing a security plan to be approved by the chief of police. But then it says at the end, if there's a failure to comply, the police or the town can have their force do it on their own, and then the property owner would be assessed. And our main concern is, as the property owner, we're not really involved in the process prior, and also we don't have the ability to implement any sort of security plan. I understand probably the reasoning of it's easier to, the property owner's here, the tenant may not be at a certain time. But there are ways to achieve that. One could obviously be having the tenant be responsible for the payment, and I think that achieves the main goal. The main goal is ensuring there is proper security being taken care of at the property so the police don't have to go out there. Then requiring the tenant to pay for it, if they don't do it, gives them the incentive to do it. If the responsibility falls back on the property owner, the tenant kind of can wash their hands of it, at least at that point. Second, if the concern is making sure there's someone there to pay for it, one option could also be require the tenant at the property, when they come up with a security plan, to post either an escrow or post some sort of bond that would cover the cost of providing that. So if they do not take the appropriate steps or do not take actions as required in the security plan, the town can have their force do it and draw on that bond. So we're really looking for a mechanism that achieves what the town wants to achieve, that puts pressure on any establishment in town to take proper security measures when there's a habitual issues at a property. So it's not on the property owner / landlord who doesn't really have that ability. And two, that there's a mechanism in place for the town to achieve it. So that's really all our issue is. We hope the town takes that into consideration when considering the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Clearly, the township's position is that sees no distinction between the tenant and the property owner. The accountability for the situation is held by both, the tenant and the property owner. That's where we are. So if in fact we are not satisfied that security for an establishment hasn't been provided by the tenant, and the township then is burdened by having to either provide those services or provide the cost for the security, then we're going to seek the remuneration for that time and effort, be it from the tenant and or the property owner. We make that distinction. You bring up some very valid points about in this area of escrows, etc. But I would say to you that issues of escrows regarding matters that are potentially breaches of lease, etc., should be put in the lease language, and it's once again the property owner's responsibility. Counsel, unless you have any other comment
I think,
for that.
Mayor, I agree. I think for the public's benefit, this ordinance was drafted at the direction of the Township Committee and with the great assistance and information by the Chief of Police. It's to address across the board any commercial establishment that has a very high number of calls that generate criminal-type matters. So it's not just an establishment that maybe has, a bad day or a bad month. it's on a regular basis that there's a high inordinate number of calls for our first responders to address. So, and the number is 10 in a particular month. And what that would mean is if you have 10, then the administrator, the chief of police, and the township health officer would meet, and the chief would devise a security plan that would be required. And that security plan could very well mean that it may necessitate, if it's in the opinion of the township's top security expert, that it could mean you need armed, qualified protection. And that protection is for the commercial public, it's for all of the residents and even the visitors to the community, and it's also to protect, quite honestly, the first responders, so they have the ability to address other needs of the township, so that, for an example, if it's one particular establishment and there's 2 or 3 police officers tied up there on a regular basis, that's a drain on the services and the protection to the rest of the township. So, as the mayor said, with respect to the bond or the security, I think it's a fair point, but that's still more of an internal matter for the landlord and tenant to work out. If a tenant doesn't comply with the law, then it should be implicit in the lease that needs to be addressed. I think to the point about the owner, we went back and made sure that this ordinance includes the owner from the get-go. So the owner will receive notice, the owner will have an opportunity to participate in whatever security plan. I think that's a fair point, but I also think the administration has addressed that. So if there's a particular matter that triggers this security requirement, the owner has the ability in the beginning to be heard and even raise any issues with respect to reconsideration of a plan. And the plan's not forever. If there's compliance and things get more favorable, or the safety, the numbers start to demonstrate that the establishment is safe, it could be revisited. But it's clear that if there's an establishment or two that really put a drain and put our police and first responders at risk, the governing body wanted to take this action. And it's a very aggressive action by the governing body, but it's to protect everybody involved. So with respect to getting the owners involved, that's going to happen. With respect to holding the owner responsible, it's my recommendation is that shouldn't be changed. If an owner has a tenant that isn't compliant, it shouldn't just be the residents of the township and the taxpayers that have to take care of that. It has to be the owner to make better choices and to be responsible. So otherwise the township's going to be chasing a tenant, and that's not really the municipality's responsibility. So yes, the owner should be involved from the get-go, but no, the owner shouldn't be able to stand by if there is illegal activity going on at an establishment or non-compliance with the law, and leave it to the township to address a tenancy matter. So, and that doesn't happen even in landlord-tenant matters. We can't do that. So I think some of the points Mr. Giannetti raised have been addressed, and I think the others, it would defeat the purpose of the ordinance after I consulted with the administrator and the chief of police.
With respect to the changes that were made to the ordinance, and I believe the mayor mentioned that in the event a commercial establishment does not comply with the security plan approved by the board, I believe you said that you would look at to either the property owner or the tenant.
Correct.
Was there a change to add the tenant?
No, it says it says the township would seek reimbursement from the property owner and or the operator of the establishment.
Let's not leave open the question that the township has always been available to try to remedy issues of unique nature. This is kind of unique for us to even have to initiate an ordinance like this in Hanover. So I still offer that if there are ways that in a commercial establishment can work with us if they're having difficulty with these incidents of criminal nature, that we are more than willing, as is our chief and our department, to sit down with you and try to remedy it, to come to some satisfactory conclusion. Failing that, this ordinance takes over.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard at this time? Jim, how you doing?
Terrific. Jim Martin from 12 Fanick Road in Whippany. I just have a quick question. As it says a month, this is any 30-day period?
30-day period.
Okay, that's, I just wanted to make, because as you read it, it says a month, and I'm saying, a lot of people are going to say, hey, I had 10 last month and 10 this month, and I'm saying, wait a minute, or 9, to stay off the balance, but, okay, as long as it's identified as 30 days. 10
incidences within that, 10 noted, and specifically 10 incidences that are determined to be criminal incidences within that 1 month period.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
thanks,
thank
Jim.
you.
Anyone else like to be heard at this time? Hearing none?
Motion to close?
Second.
Motion to close, and on roll call to close the public hearing. Mr. Gallagher?
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska?
Aye.
Mr. Bruno?
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, on adoption, be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover in the County of Morris and State of New Jersey, establishing a new Chapter 71 entitled, requiring commercial establishments to maintain security in certain conditions under Part 2, General Legislation of the Code of the Township, be passed on final reading, and that a notice of the final passage of the ordinance be published in the September 20th issue of the Daily Record in accordance with law. May we now have a motion on adoption?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion by Mr. Faramaska, seconded by Mr. Bruno and Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for adoption, Mr. Gallagher,
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska,
Aye.
Mr. Bruno,
Aye.
and Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So adopted. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with the second item for consideration of adoption and public hearing, we have ordinance number 21-2017, amending and supplementing Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township, entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, by revising the circumstances under which the sale of alcoholic beverages may be sold on premises consumption. We have the proof of publication that the ordinance and the notice of introduction appeared in full in the August 16th issue of the Daily Record. We have notification from the Morris County Office of Planning and Preservation that in accordance with the municipal land use law, the ordinance was filed in timely fashion with the Morris County Office of Planning. And finally, we have a letter from the chairman of the Hanover Township Planning Board indicating that at the September 12th work session of the Planning Board reviewed Ordinance 2117 and has recommended to the governing body that Ordinance number 21-17 be adopted. Now, at this time, may we have a motion to conduct the public hearing?
So moved.
So moved by
Second?
Mr. Bruno, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Is there anyone present wishing to speak on ordinance number 21-2017?
Motion to close?
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bruno to
Second.
close, seconded by Mr. Faramaska. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, on
Go ahead.
adoption,
Go ahead. At some point, you're going to cover parking devices on that
Next.
one. Okay.
Thank you.
Now on a motion for adoption, be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover, amending and supplementing Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township, entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, by revising the circumstances under which the sale of alcoholic beverages may be sold for on-premises consumption, be passed on final reading, and that a notice of the final passage of the ordinance be published in the September 20th issue of the Morris County Daily Record. Now, may we have a motion on adoption?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Francioli, seconded by Mr. Bruno. Roll call on adoption. Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So adopted. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have one ordinance for introduction this evening. It's docketed as ordinance number 22-2017. This is an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover, amending and supplementing Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township, entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, by amending the regulations for the OBRL Zone District, by amending the coverage regulations for accessory buildings in non-residential zone districts, and by amending the minimum dimensions for parking spaces in parking structures. This ordinance will be further considered for public hearing and final passage at the October 12th meeting of the Township Committee at 8:30 p.m. here in the main meeting room of the municipal building. And at that time, any person wishing to be heard concerning the ordinance will be given the opportunity to speak. The administrator clerk is also directed to advertise the ordinance in full with the notice of introduction in the Daily Record in accordance with law. So may we have a motion on introduction for ordinance number 22-2007?
So moved.
Second?
A motion by Mr. Fermaska, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for introduction, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So introduced. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we continue with the next portion of business, which you'll find starting at the bottom of page 1 and continuing on page 2, 3, and 3. It's a listing of all the resolutions by consent agenda. We do have one additional resolution that does not appear on your agenda that was discussed in conference work session. And I'll just note that for the record, it's a resolution of the Township Committee appointing Dr. Robert Weger to serve as the alternate number 2 member on the Board of Health for a 1-year term of office commencing October 1st, 2017, and ending on September 30th, 2019. I'm sorry, that should be 2018, all in accordance with Section 282-2B, entitled Terms, Vacancies, under Chapter 282 of the Code of the Township, entitled Alternate Members to the Board of Health. Are there any questions from members of the governing body concerning any of the resolutions that are printed on the agenda?
Move that the consent agenda revised be approved.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion with the amendment offered by Committeeman Fermaska.
Second?
Seconded by Mr. Bruno and Mr. Francioli. On roll call for the consent agenda with the addition of the appointment of Dr. Weger as the alternate 2 member of the Board of Health for a 1-year term. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved. And on the last page of the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, we have the payment of bills, $6,263,940.34. May we have a motion?
Move to pay the bills.
Thank you, Mr. Fermaska. Motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Francioli. And roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved on payment of bills. And also raffle applications as a consent agenda. Are there any questions on the raffle applications?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Bruno.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for the approval of the raffle licenses as noted, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved. Mr. Chairman, members of the Township Committee, that clears the agenda of the Business Administrator Township Clerk, and I thank you.
Thank you, Joseph, very much. Very good. Gentlemen, once again, I'd like to open the floor. A motion to open.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the floor once again is open. If anyone would like to address the Township Committee at this time, please do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record.
Again, Mary Beth Cowley, 22 Troy Hills Road. Just a couple questions. Anything more on the Morris County Mall development?
The Morris County Mall has probably been a big question mark in the community for some time, still is. There's been all kinds of comments regarding the Walmart facility that's there and what's going on. But we will tell you officially, we have no filings from the Morris County Mall, no applications for any additions or expansions before the planning board. We have no information whatsoever other than the hearsay that's on the street. So at this particular point, I know John Faramosca, Director of Planning and also involved with Economic Development, has made contact with the Oster family. These are the heirs to the mall, and trying to work with them and come up with some idea of what they're trying to do with the mall, but not too much success.
There's construction going on over there at Walmart.
Walmart, we can only suppose from what we're hearing that they have the potential to expand there, but we have nothing official that says that they will do that.
Because I thought they were going to go on Hanover Avenue.
I'm sorry?
I thought, who's taking the space? Menon or Colgate, the old building they're tearing down?
Oh, the Menon facility?
Yeah.
That's our sister community. That's the Township of Morris.
Oh, okay.
And but we can tell you that that facility there is going to be a combination mixed use, is what's been proved for that.
Okay.
So it's going to be a combination of condominium units and retail frontage on Hanover Avenue.
Okay. Any more on, have you heard on the board on Eden Lane, the old paper board?
The paperboard approval, that is still in the process. I know the planning board has been busy trying to satisfy a request of an alternate route to Apollo Drive, and that continues to exist. One of the issues the planning board brought up was that we were trying to move traffic off of Eden Lane and bring it closer to Route 10 and 287. So that's an ongoing effort. Nothing else to report on.
And no updates on Pine Plaza either then, I guess.
Pine Plaza, we're, from an economic development standpoint, we are very active in contacting Pine Plaza, talking with the owners of Pine Plaza. But unfortunately, nothing really has materialized in terms of a new plan. I know they're eager to do something, but nothing really has materialized yet.
Okay. It's just everybody kind of wants to know, who's developing where, and because it looks so sad with everything blank and open.
But I can share the Route 10 corridor.
Yes.
That study will be complete
I was just going to ask you
this year, and that study will really lay the groundwork for what we hope to be a successful reinvention of Route 10, similar to the success story that we've had on Hanover Avenue.
Okay.
So we eagerly await the completion of that work, and I know the planning board and our planner is working on that very diligently, and there's a commitment to complete that this year.
By the end of 2017?
Yes.
You beat me to it. I was going to ask you about that. Do you know who bought the church on the corner here? The old Ukrainian church? Is that going to be retail or on the corner here?
We're not familiar as to whom
That
may
was
acquire-
sold.
no,
The
the
Bogey's
church,
property?
St. John's Church.
Oh, St.
Yeah,
John's
The old
Ukrainian?
church.
Yeah, that was sold.
Yeah, there have been numerous attempts to go to contract on that, but there's nothing firm, nothing firm that they've come up
Okay,
with.
we were told it was sold, so I didn't know if it was going to be a business or housing, housing.
Well, that zone right now would be the frontage on Route 10 would be retail zone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, a restaurant, something
Yeah,
of
right,
that
right, right.
nature,
No, I'm just curious. And last, are we doing anything with the houses on Route 10 that I've been bugging that looks really bad from by Bogies here and way back by Molly's, 2 houses before you get to Molly's? Has anything been attempted with the owner to do a facelift or improve the property?
Property maintenance, yeah.
'Cause you're gonna-
I could speak to the Bogies probably. Bogies is up for sale, been up for sale.
No, I know that, but the house before that and the 2 before you get to Molly's coming this way on the west side.
There's the house
Yeah, property maintenance has been re-notified, has gone out to visited that owner and notified them of the
And-
requirements.
And
That
that's it?
they just follow up with them. If they don't do what the property maintenance officer
Well,
wants, then they could possibly be
I wish we
fined.
could snap our fingers and make some of this that happen, but
I
it's
know,
such
but
a
it's been going
it's such a
on
laborious
forever.
procedure of following rules and regulations as to what our buildings department can do and what our maintenance department can do, and every time we take an action, the owner has another 2 weeks, 30 days in order to commit.
Right,
It's
if it was
very
us, you would have
frustrating.
been fined by now.
very
you know.
frustrating.
Yeah, we agree that it's a difficult, ongoing issue.
The owners don't even live there, it's rentals, so.
Yes.
Because last time you had said you were going to find out who it was and then have building go in there and that was a while ago, like 6 months ago.
No, they have followed up. Building maintenance monitoring group has been there, enforcement, and they'll continue. It's a hot issue that's on the radar with them, and they will continue to be at it to the point when fines will actually be levied. As to when that takes place, they're an independent group in terms of what they can do. We can bring awareness to them, and we appreciate you coming out telling us about it.
I'm just,
It's frustrating. I agree.
and-
We agree with you.
and ugly
Yeah.
for our
No need for it.
township.
We-
Because- Okay, thank you,
No, thank you so much for coming out tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
that's okay.
Floor remains open. Anyone else would like to be heard at this time? Hey, Dale.
Dale Cowley, 22 Troy Hills Road. I'm here tonight as a volunteer member of OEM. Yesterday, we had our first class of Are You Ready for Senior Citizens? The mayor was in attendance. I'd like to bring to light, we're going to be doing it
But
again,
not as a senior citizen, but go ahead.
as a mild observer.
Thank you.
The topics that we cover are generator safety, storm preparedness, a lot of readiness, what are you going to need to survive for 72 hours, and communication, and we're going to expand it, but I wanted to get it on the record that it has started, and we are going to be continuing it.
One of the finest programs that I attended, and I reported to John Faramasca. It was a program of an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours worth of work, but you move through a lot of different areas and a lot of emergency situations that we find ourselves in. Loss of power, use of generators, flooding situations, escape mechanisms from automobiles and flood situations, etc. And so many of the topics that you covered are happening right as we talk. I thought it was a great program, and I know that between yourself and Tom Quirk on OEM, we are planning to do it again, and we would like to encourage the Senior Citizens Club to really take advantage of it and learn something from this. A lot of good tips came out of that, and we do appreciate it.
And we're also going to try to do an evening session for the seniors that are still working, so that they can take part of the program as well.
Excellent. It's good. It's good news. No, it really is
Yeah.
from a safety standpoint. It's needed, very much so.
It was an enjoyable program to do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I think it was good. I mean, it covered areas that we take for granted. How to leave a car after a power line drops, right? I wouldn't even think of leaving the car, I mean, I'd be so petrified that, I wouldn't even touch my steering wheel. But there is a manner in which to actually, if you had to leave a car in a situation like that, there is a manner. I'm not going to say it's the safest manner, but it's an option. It's an option, Very good. Are there any other comments from the community at this time? Hearing none.
Motion to
Seeing none.
close.
Motion to close? Okay. Committeeman Gallagher.
Couple quick ones tonight. And Jim, you asked me about this today. October 3rd, Tuesday night, Darryl Strawberry is coming to Hanover Township. The timing is perfect because he's been all over the news lately talking about opiates, talking about addiction, and talking about treatment, and also talking about finding yourself, accepting yourself, which is very appropriate, especially in every area, every community, including Hanover Township. For the first time, we have a packed house. We have over 500 tickets out.
Awesome.
We cannot have any more people come, and everybody on this committee knows how hard it is to get people to come to an assembly, especially an assembly that we all care so much about. And we want to get the message out. Star Power is big, but even with Chris Herring a couple years ago, we didn't have this kind of enthusiasm. So we're very excited about it. And Jim, the only thing I'd tell you too about further information, I thought about it after speaking to you. Carol Giorgio has been incredible for months on this. I can't tell you how many times she's called me and said, Ace, I just got off the phone with Darryl Strawberry's sister, and there's always new information. So she's ran with this thing almost by herself. If there's a hero, it's her. She was great. And everybody's stepping up. Everybody's working hard. And even to keep structure, School and Park worked with Mr. Wasco on the parking, possible shuttles. Hanover Township PD is going to be all over it, and also American Martial Arts is going to provide 4 people to stand at the door, not for security, just to help with the structure, because when everybody wants to get in there at one time, it could be crazy. So I want to say the Hanover Township Substance Awareness Council really did a great job. Carol is phenomenal, and this is really all her. She gives me credit, but I just approved and applauded her work. So thank you, Joe. Thank you to Carol. I also want to say that Saturday, October 28th, the One Day One School Beautification and Safety Initiative is having its 10-year anniversary. We stopped counting, and we get the numbers from the business administrators and from the superintendents. In 2014, we stopped counting, and we always said over 500,000, because many of us run for office, and talk is cheap, and we can say anything we want and probably get away with it sometimes when the numbers aren't, when we can verify the numbers. But in our 10-year anniversary, we are going to go over $1 million saving school districts in and around our area in the last 10 years. And we say every $1,000 is a computer. We used to say, with Brian Cahill, every $80 is a textbook, but I don't think they really use textbooks anymore, Bryce, so we got to get a little more current. But once again, we're all coming together for that. The entire governing body here will be there, East Hanover, Florham Park, and it is confirmed that Channel 7 is going to be there and do a big story on it. So it's going to be really big for all of us. Again, what we could do when we put our minds to it and we get together and actually, quote, grab a shovel and start digging. The second to last thing I want to say is, and I'm going to, you know what, Bob, I'll wait till Hanover Township Day before you so I can give you a little segue. But I also want to say we went back to school, and everybody was great working together. School and Park Traffic Safety put together a great message. We worked and we had a last meeting. The mayor was at our last meeting going through all our preparations on what we did for the last few months to get ready. All our crosswalks are painted. I can go down a litany of things, but I think everybody sees the improvements we made and how we're staying on top of it. And thank you to Hanover Township PD, because they also really stepped up with the educational component the first couple days, saying you can't park here and why. And then, of course, after the educational component, we shortly went in with enforcement and dropped the hammer, as we joked in the police conference room, that, you know, it's got to have a little bit of teeth, and it does. A lot of our work does, but it's all for the beneficiary of our kids and our young families. The last thing I'll say is Hanover Township Day was another example of everybody getting together for something very good, and I'll only handle the DPW part. These guys were phenomenal. The amount of hours they put in, the amount of overtime hours they put in, the setup, the takedown, the work in the event, it was phenomenal. So I'm sure each person here is going to refer to it, but I want to thank the DPW once again. The guys are phenomenal. In any area of any of their skills, they can be out probably in the private sector making a lot more money, but they love Hanover. They work for us, they work with us, and thank you to the DPW. That's it, Ron.
Very good, thank you, very good. Hanover Township Day was exceptional. The weather couldn't have been better. It was really terrific. John?
It's still all about the roads. Major road work was completed with a big late summer push. Ridgedale Avenue was completed in record time. Getting that done prior to back to school was very important from a planning standpoint. Next up, keep on looking at the township website. There'll be information coming up about North Jefferson Road, and the county will be working on Parsippany Road and Whippany Road. So again, it's very important that you check the township website, because there will be inconveniences during the point of those construction periods, and we want people to be aware of it to seek alternate paths. In addition, I just want to bring to everybody's attention that on Ridgedale Avenue, you might not even be aware of it, but there's a bridge on Ridgedale Avenue, okay? The County of Morris will begin replacing their bridge, the county's bridge on Ridgedale, just south of Frederick's Place. This is going to start this week. Bridges don't get built like repaving roads in a week or two. This is a major endeavor. So this is going to be going on from now until probably springtime of 2018. The plan is in place, though, to always maintain a roadway so that traffic can flow north and south. So you might be inconvenienced, but the road will be, one lane of traffic will be open at all times during the period of road construction. So again, seek information from Hanover's website. The engineering department was really busy this summer, but there was one person within the engineering department that was like really busy. This person was on site at all of these roads, all 3-point-some-odd miles of roads that have already been paved. This person was there, getting there very early in the morning, inspecting the roads. The man literally was on his feet, getting involved, looking at, measuring, making sure it's done properly. This gentleman's name is Bill Annucci. And Township Committee wants to recognize Bill. We really thank you, Bill, for your great efforts in terms of ensuring that the road quality is there. And this Township Committee, we all chipped in a few bucks, and what we did was we bought something for Bill, something that he can use when he's out there working on those roads. And what we got him was a pair of Dr. Scholl's gel foaming pads that he can put in those engineer boots to make his day a little bit easier. So, Bill, we hope you wear them well, and we hope it relieves.
Don't tell me that
pain in
Hanover
those
Township
feet.
doesn't care. I mean, what the heck?
Seriously, we thank Bill for his
Fantastic.
outstanding efforts.
And if I may interrupt, Deputy Mayor, he's also our Employee of the Month.
Terrific news, even better news.
there you
Mr.
go.
Nucci's been recognized as Employee of the Month. Good job. Happy to hear that for Bill. Saturday, October 28th is also Free Paper Shred Day. Free Paper Shred Day, you're going to get more information coming out about that. It's going to be held at the Community Center this year to make it a little bit easier for you to access. And lastly, pinch hitting for Committeeman Capola. The KFC has a special event, and if you can participate in this event, it's very beneficial. It's their blood drive, the Miracle of Life. Please, on October 7th, consider going to OLM from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock on that Saturday if you can give blood to participate in sharing that to help someone else. Mayor, that concludes my remarks.
John, thank you very much. Very good. Robert, how are we doing?
Yes, pertaining to Hanover Township Day, the weather was in fact tremendous, so we have to thank Mother Nature for that. Especially at the last couple years, we had some very hot days and we had some thunderstorms, so it just couldn't have been better. Special thanks to the Recreation Commissioners, Denise Brennan, our Superintendent of Recreation, and her team, Brian Ferran and the DPW, always doing yeoman's work. Our generous sponsors, there's really no cost to the taxpayers per se. The whole event is free, which is amazing. Our signature sponsor this year, Wegmans, gave 2,500 hot dogs, the rolls, so on and so on, as well as all the volunteers. In addition to the DPW and some of our paid employees, we do get a lot of volunteers to help out as well. So special thanks to everybody. Really a tremendous day, and certainly looking forward to bigger and better next year. In terms of the Recreation Department and the fall programs, certainly there's a lot going on. And in keeping in line with accommodating all of our residents, the evening hours have been started again over at the Rec Department, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6:30 to 8:30. If you do want to register in person, we want to give everybody the availability to do that. So for those who work, evening hours are back in the Rec Department. Additionally, on October 1st, Sunday, October 1st, this is another event we tried to kick off back in June, just got a little bit of a late start. So a little bit more advance notice. The Mayor's Fitness and Wellness Program, all aboard, I should say, all aboard for fun and fitness. And the Mayor's Wellness Program in conjunction with the Whippany Railway Museum. That'll go from 12:30 to 3:30. And the idea is that you'll take the train from what we knew as the old City Federal Savings Bank, where the train station begins, over to Central Park, and there'll be a lot of exhibitors. Bayer Healthcare will be there, the Red Bulls will be there. It's all about fun and fitness, but also helping our friends at the Whippany Railway Museum. So the train ride is short, over to Central Park, just because there won't be enough parking there. So we want to encourage everybody to park in the lot down by the train station, take the train over to Central Park for a great day. Again, Sunday, October 1st from 12:30 to 3:30. And that's it for me, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, that should be, that really will help the Railroad Museum a great deal. We're trying to assist them, still trying to get the steam locomotive done, and we're making some progress there, believe it or not, and that's been countless years. But this particular wellness train, Bayer people will be there, but on the train too will be some Red Bulls athletes will join us on the train.
On the train?
Train will leave periodically from the station through Central Park, drop you off. It'll continue, unless you want to stay on it, it'll continue through Morristown on that route. It'll come back to Central Park. You want to get back on at Central Park, take it back to the station where your car is, you can leave at any time. And it'll do that about, I think there's going to be about 4 or 5 round trips a day. So tickets are available at the train station for this little event. So that's going to be terrific. The 27th of this month, the Stony Brook Community Farm will have a formal ribbon cutting, and it'll be formally open. They had an exhibit at Hanover Township Day, and some more of our community signed up for even more gardens. I invite everyone to come out, take a look. We will have representatives from the Interfaith Food Pantry there. We'll have representatives from our schools there. Mike Wasco, superintendent, will join us as well. And you'll have another opportunity not only to look at the farm, but if you're interested in having a garden for the coming year, you can do that too. So that's coming up as well. A little reminder that had a Board of Health meeting this past, John, when did I go? You covered library for me, I covered Board of Health.
Last night.
Wednesday night.
Last night.
Yeah, starts to run together. The Board of Health would like me to remind you that this time of year, and it's not unusual because we've had some neighbors had sightings of raccoons during the day. If you happen to see a raccoon or similar animal during the day, the odds are it is not healthy and diseased. That be the case, do not try to approach the animal, do not try to capture the animal, do not try to assist the animal. Call our police department immediately, and we'll make arrangements to have St. Hubert's or some other agency collect the animal. So we do want to give you that warning. Rabies are an issue if the animal is seen, or particularly a raccoon, during the day. So having said that, and once again, thanks to Dan Cowley for a wonderful program. Wednesday was terrific, started at 1 o'clock and went on from there right after the seniors meeting. You'll learn more about this program on the readiness, we'll call it a readiness seminar that he had covered and complete, and we'll give you more details on that in the future, so thank you. Any other business from the community? Yes, Mr.
Ron, one quick
Benjamin
one.
Gallagher, go ahead.
I'm going to, like John Faramaska did, I'm just going to pinch hit here for Committeeman Coppola for a second. Ron and I, it's no secret, are pretty involved in social media, and hopefully we use it for the right way and to help people and to share information.
I let them vent.
Ron lets them vent. But there's been quite a bit of talk in the last couple months about Neighborhood Watch. And several people have gotten me privately and said we should establish that. Well, Chief Roddy, years and years ago, I believe it was in the 90s, did establish it. We do have it, it just hasn't been active. And it's not active because people have to volunteer and know that it's there, that there's a vehicle, and they can get involved. So we're working with Hanover Township PD to let people know we do have this program in town. It hasn't been active. And there's going to be a seminar here at the community center Thursday night, September 28th. I believe we have a committee meeting that night, though, guys. But if we can all get together and help let Hanover Township know that we do have this program and we do want people to get involved in it. And Hanover Township PD has a lot of information. There's 30 great guys that work very hard for all of us. And it's a great opportunity to let the town know what we do have and how we can all chip in and keep an eye on each other a little bit better, especially because of what's going on sometimes. And we all know about it, and we all read about it, and we all worry a little bit. But that's it. It's Thursday night, September 28th. Hanover Township is going to have the Neighborhood Watch Seminar, and if we can all spread the word and get everybody out there that is interested, that'd be fantastic. That's it, Ron. Thank you.
I think the Neighborhood Watch is a great idea, and you're right, Ace, we did have that some time ago, and if we can rekindle that and get that active again, that's a great. There was another program that we did some years ago, and I'd love to resurrect it. You know, I always boast about the fact that we've got one of the largest senior citizens populations in the county, and we do. 28% of Hanover Township is seniors versus 24% in the county. So if anybody's looking at statistics, there you go. But having said that, we had a program, and I think at the time Officer Sino, Detective Sino at the time, was managing it for shut-ins. And that is if you're elderly, or you're alone, or you're recuperating from an illness or something, and you're a shut-in and you're alone, and you contact us and leave a telephone number with us, we would check in with you in the mornings. And if we didn't hear from you, you'd hear from us. And I think that was a great program, and I'd love to see that get some get back into action again on that one. That worked out really good. Okay, if there's no other business from the committee, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, gentlemen, back into session.
Give Dale your $20 for the raffle tickets.
That's going to be...